You're listening to the first episode of the 5 à 7 podcast, where I talk with chefs, musicians, actors, CEOs, politicians, marketing gurus, sommeliers, and other interesting people you might have heard of. I'm your host, Amie Watson, and if you don't know what a 5 à 7 is, it's essentially a Quebec happy hour. But don't worry, no 5 à 7 actually goes from 5 to 7 p.m. as the name implies. This podcast will be significantly shorter than that, and it won't turn into dinner, at least not yet, in this period of self-isolation and social distancing, which Chef Erin Langille and I will talk about soon. And yes, it's the first ever episode, which means that when we get to episode number 300, years from now, you can say you were here when it all started, back when I mistakenly said things like pastaga instead of la maison publique for Derek Taman's restaurant, and didn't want to re-record or edit it out, so I just wrote it into the intro. It's also back when we had no official sponsors, so we just name-dropped all our favorite wines and Montreal products, because this is the time of COVID-19 and we really want to support local, like Logan Le Petit Lot nut butters and Aliment Vien charcuterie, which I also misspoke about by saying you could get his charcuterie at other local shops, which is not true. In fact, you can get other local products like Les 400 pieds de champignons mushrooms at Aliment Vien on Saint-Laurent. But that we did edit out, editor extraordinaire Max Desmarais and I, but I didn't give Max that much work to do other than that, at least I don't think so, because this podcast is pretty much exactly how my conversation with Chef Erin Langille went from start to finish. All the info on the wines we're drinking, private importers we mention, restaurants, and products we love is listed in the podcast notes wherever you get your podcasts. And now that that's done, you're here, and so is Erin Langille, the chef of Le Diplomate, the small plates Pacific Northwest restaurant, as he calls it, and natural wine bar in the Mile X in Montreal. So here we go. So Erin Langille is the chef of Diplomate in the Mile X neighborhood of Montreal. I remember you from Orange Rouge, from Café Sardine, and a short stint at Alexandra Platz. But I remember you before that, actually, if we go way back, to cooking mushrooms at the Marché Fermier on Laurier when that opened years and years ago. You had it on your homemade sourdough bread, and we started talking about fermentation. Then that got me into your sauerkraut, and we talked about peanut butter and sauerkraut, which we'll definitely come back to. And we kept having that conversation, which brought us to the former DNA restaurant in the Old Port of Montreal. Highly underrated restaurant at the time that I'm so sad closed. That was Derek Taman before Pastaga, and Alex Cruz, the Major D and wine expert, before Société Originale, also now closed. And you are now a family man. A lot has changed since that time. As we pop a bottle, you're a business owner, and you're just one more person that's hit very hard by the economic effects of COVID-19. So I really want to talk to you about what's going on in the restaurant industry a little bit later, but we're kind of also just here for a chat. And as you just opened a bottle, and I have a very nice bottle, I thought it would be polite to start by asking what you're drinking.
I am drinking a Pinot Noir from Australia. Grown in volcanic soil. It's the Good Intentions Wine Company. They're Noir de Doutda. Is that right? Yeah, they've got fun names. So, but it's Pinot Noir, nice, young, delicious, fruity. Doesn't taste like wine. It tastes like pink lemonade almost.
Oof, wow, sounds like spring and dangerous summer. Nice color, yeah. Is that on your wine list now?
We just got it today, and as such, we have a lot of wines that don't quite make it to the wine list, because the wine list itself is about 100 references long, and then we have maybe another couple dozen in the basement that
lucky
sell
you.
before they even get on the list.
Yes, sell before they even get on the list. I get it. Yeah. Well, obviously you have to try them and see what they're like. I'll introduce you to mine. Oh, who imports that, by the way?
That's Maison Bollet.
Okay, cool. So for anybody who doesn't know, we have a lot of private wine importers in the city. You can order cases through them. I hope that you can still get a case of that then, if you wanted to. And if not, people can get it by ordering food at your restaurant, which we'll get to in a little bit. Mine is a Rieku. I don't know if you've seen this before. It's from Glue, another agency in the city. It's from the Campania region, and Rieku apparently is the dialect word for Trebbiano Toscano, so a native grape. Wild, indigenous yeast, really fun color, really beautiful wine.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we should
straw yellow, that one.
Yeah, exactly. But I had a question then. I want to cheers you But I have a philosophical question to go with you as we cheers. I assume that you know that the Quebec tradition of looking in the eyes of the person you're cheersing and why we do that. But does that still apply when we can't clink our glasses?
Oh, and also, does that mean we look into the camera or do we
Or
look
the
into the
eyes
screen?
of the
Yeah,
person? Uh-huh.
that gets complicated.
It does. And the inevitable effects of doing it improperly, do they apply?
Yeah, well, hopefully not. So we'll try our best.
Cheers. Oh gosh, there we go.
Yeah, just try not to pour any on my computer.
Oh, that's such a nice wine.
Delicious.
Yes. Okay. So that's accomplished. I'm glad we have something nice to drink. The whole idea is we have a little 5 à 7 if we can't have something in person. Everybody's having their digital happy hours now. So why not us? Okay. So your restaurant, you closed March 12th for in-house dining like everywhere else in Montreal, right?
Right. Yeah, we that was before they closed dining rooms 100%. After the 15th, I think they said that places could still be open at 50% capacity. But as I'm sure a lot of people have said, that's just not financially viable to a lot of restaurant operations to just run. I mean, nobody designs their business to make only 50% potential and be able to survive on 50% potential.
Right.
Um,
But now you're just doing takeout, and you're trying to survive on that, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And you're selling wines with the takeout, which is what a lot of Montreal businesses are doing. But that means you've been home a lot more. You then have fewer hours and fewer employees and a smaller menu to create.
Well, we actually only had to lose one part-time staff person who, just by proxy of them having previously gone from full-time to part-time, they'll actually end up making more money on EI than they will doing 1 or 2 shifts at the restaurant.
Wow. Okay.
So she and well, yeah, I won't go into her situation. She's managed to find work online anyways, so she's doing great.
Because you hear so many horror stories about people leaving, but I guess because you have a lot of chefs who are also servers, like the chefs serve your plate at Diplomate, that makes sense that they would just work in the kitchen with prep.
Right, exactly. And we expanded our operation to be 6 days a week, whereas previously it had only been 5. So we're back to a Monday through Saturday schedule that we used to be at.
Okay.
And we are doing, it started as 12 o'clock to 7 o'clock, but now it's 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So it's a nice 7-hour shift, 8 hours including cleanup and stuff for the staff. They work 4 days a week. I still pay them for 40 hours because they're making fewer tips. So I want to kind of balance it out.
And you can afford to do that? How long can you afford to do that is the question. I mean, that's the question that a lot of restaurateurs are asking now. How many months is this going to be sustainable for?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, our first 2 weeks were quite bountiful. Our third week in was a little less, but still nothing that I would scoff at in a normal period. And this week so far is a little slow, but I mean, for us, when the difference between a slow week and a busy week could be one big spender coming in and buying a case of 6 wine, that's on the higher end. That can make a great difference in terms of percentages.
Yeah. So, and a really nice magnum of orange for Easter, for example, which I saw on your Instagram, which is a wonderful thing to follow. So thanks for that.
I've gotten weird with all my free time.
I like
in terms of social media.
Well, okay. Speaking about free time, you mentioned that you have your 7-hour shifts or your day-long shifts. Walk me through a regular day now as compared to a regular day before. And you're getting up, and you have a daughter, right?
Daughter and a son.
Daughter and a son now. Oh my gosh, time flies. So what is the day like now for you?
Now it's wake up between 6 and 7, and often make breakfast. Sometimes my wife does it, but I often make breakfast for the kids, and then try to entertain them a little bit. And then I go to work when the grocery stores open up. So I don't live too far from Kim Fat. I get to go there and pick up a few things, and they open at 9 o'clock. So I end up leaving here at about 8:45. pick up stuff there, go to the restaurant, and then I work there until 12 to 1 o'clock. And then I go home, and my wife's working from home and trying to take care of the kids. So in theory, when I get home, I take care of the kids, but I also still have work to do, more officey, businessy, typey
Right.
type
But you're
work.
going home for lunch. Like, this is so novel, I'm sure.
Yeah,
What kind of
uh,
chef goes home for lunch all the time? Were you going home for lunch before?
not for lunch, no, but definitely before, right when this was winding down, I was lucky enough to have a pretty solid team and a pretty good team who were capable of some independence, quite a bit of independence. So I was in more of a position where I was trying to uh, be more present at the house and kind of lean more into the owner side of being a chef owner.
Yeah.
Um,
Luxury
and
for chefs.
Yeah, yeah, but it's maybe a perk of having a small, flexible business, I
Right.
guess.
And I'm sure
Um,
there are downsides too, especially when you don't do delivery, you're not making as much money as you were making before. You're not having people come in for full sittings, but at the same time, you're getting home at probably what
yeah.
time in the evening now? Like
Um,
8:30?
oh no, right now, because we try to limit. So I'm trying to keep all of the staff, um, uh, well, working, trying to keep everyone employed, and at the same time, we're trying to respect health ordinances so that we don't have too many people in an enclosed space at once.
Yeah.
So I'm limiting us to only two people on at once. So I come in and do a lot of morning prep and like receive the wines, get the orders,
And then you peace
prep
out.
up the capon, and then I leave before or right when everyone else shows up, so that we just don't have too many people in the space.
Right.
So yeah, I end up being home, anywhere between 1 and 3 in the afternoon, and yeah, which is nice for the for my wife and the kids. I hope. Uh,
Well, if it
but
hasn't broken you yet, then you're doing
yeah,
fine.
but yeah, I don't know. At the same time, I'm not paying myself. And
Right.
it's part of the joys of being a business owner.
Yeah. So there are definitely upsides to this. You get more family time, and there are
Yeah,
downsides to this. You make less money at the restaurant for now. Um,
for sure.
but it sounds like you have a pretty interesting offer in terms of what you are putting out on your menu right now. I know you had some small plates that you had before, but like $4 for snacks. Aaron, how are you making money on $4 for snacks? Or are you making money? Or is it really just about the wine? Like, I was looking at Instagram today and thinking, I want to eat all of this. You've got your chicken soup for $5 or $10. You've got your half capon and your full capon. Like, this is a very reasonable menu.
Well, a big part of it is that this isn't the time for us to be trying to make a profit.
But are you bleeding
Nobody's.
yourself dry on wine is what I'm like is this
No,
just like
we're.
to get you through until things go back to normal? Like, you think, and then like, is there a point in a couple months where you're like, okay, we can't do this anymore? Or is this just going to be like, okay, this is what we do for now and this is fine and we're really going to manage really well? Because I mean, 1 in 10 restaurants is permanently closed right now, according to Restaurants Canada, and won't reopen. So it's, if you're doing so well, I'm just wondering how you're doing it, because it seems miraculous. And maybe
um,
other places can learn from you.
well, we are selling a lot of wine,
Yeah, and you do
so
have
that's
wonderful wine to sell. Does it
like.
make you sad? Do you cry every time you sell that wine at like a 2 times markup instead of a 3 times markup, which most places
Well,
could?
actually, normally we only sell it at a 2 times markup. All of
Okay,
our stuff is traditionally between 1.7 and 2.2, depending on the price of the bottle.
right. So you
And
did lower the
with
price, because I looked at that. Like, I looked at a couple bottles and I was like, okay, that's really 2 times markup, and I wondered if you'd brought it down, but you haven't brought it down.
But what we've done is then it's a 20% off of that, or
Okay,
25% if you get a case of 6 or more. So
right.
we end up selling it at a 1.5 to 1.6 markup right now,
Okay,
which it's uh, I'm fairly certain that it's enough, as long as we do quantity, which we were able to do in the first 2 weeks, and to a lesser degree last week, and hopefully this week picks up a little. But in the first 2 weeks, we were able to push out some quantity, and that will keep everyone. Will keep us open. Will keep everyone
Yeah.
employed. Will keep all of the thirsty customers who come by with wine.
Right. But then how deep is your
Um,
cellar? That's the question.
Well,
How long
we've
will this
been
go?
ordering wine. I mean, part
Okay.
of why I'm doing this is because I also think about the wine importers, a lot of whom, after 4 years of being open, I'm friends with a lot of them. I was friends with a lot of them before we even opened.
Well, this is
And
why we're
it's
drinking wine today. Otherwise, we probably
yeah,
would just be having an interview, but I'm happy to support them too. So I get it. Yeah. And people should. But
it's
how much wine can people drink right now?
yeah.
Is that a silly
I
question?
mean,
Maybe they can drink a lot of wine.
I know. Perhaps it doesn't apply. I haven't seen any numbers for Quebec. I know that Quebec is smoking a lot more weed and eating a lot more snacks.
I read
I saw
that
that
on
today.
Eater today. Yeah.
But I know in San Francisco Bay Area, drinking was up by 55%, or booze sales was
Right.
up by 55%.
Which could just be at the beginning when people are stocking up, and we don't know if that
Yeah,
will continue at the same level. But people aren't buying in restaurants; they're buying through the SIQ or through importers, so those
right.
sales will go
And
up.
the best I have really is anecdotal evidence
Right.
to how much alcohol is being consumed right now.
And if you are
Uh,
consuming more alcohol than normal, I'm sure everybody else is too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Either
mean,
people are consuming more or less, I feel. And that was kind of what some of the studies that I read were showing.
yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard times, and everyone tends to fall on their own vices in
Yeah.
hard times a little bit harder. So
Okay.
here we are.
Yeah. So I wanna lighten things up. A lot of people do a lightning round in an interview, and I thought that would be a
Uh-oh.
fun thing to do earlier. Yeah, drink up. Might be a fun thing to do earlier in the interview to kind of like loosen things up a little bit. So I'll let you pour that, and then we'll just go in. And so just don't think about it. Just answer. How would you
Okay.
describe your cooking style right now in one word?
Can it be 2 words?
This is a lightning round. One word.
Okay. Best I can do is Pacific Northwest,
Okay,
because it
we can
tends to
hyphenate
have.
that.
Yeah, sure. It tends to have a little. It tends to be on the lighter side, with fresh produce and vegetable forward, but with some Asian influence. So
Okay.
Pacific Northwest is the best thing I can say. I used to try to call it New Montreal because nobody would know what that is, and that would leave me with this great
Yeah.
gray zone of being able to play in. But
And everybody at En route for Air Canada, for Canada's Best New Restaurants, is like pulling out their hair going, this is not a restaurant genre. How do we write this in our guide? Little insider info there.
for New Montreal,
Yeah, that'll never fly. That'll never make the guide. I can guarantee you.
well, I didn't make the guide in the first place, so that's fine.
Oh, okay. That's for drink number 3. What are you fermenting right now?
Right now, I've got a gai choy kimchi going. Just gai choy is a mustard green,
Ah, okay.
and
I'm
last
really
few
bad at
times
this lightning round because I'm just going to ask you questions about all these things.
last few times, or maybe 2 out of 3 of the times that I've made it, it's tasted like French's yellow mustard,
Oh, wow.
which is cool. So
Wait. So you ferment the greens and then you blend them? How does it become a mustard texture?
oh, it's not a
Just
texture, just
flavor.
the taste wise. Yeah. So
Okay.
it tasted like, or the texture was fermented cabbage, but the taste was French's yellow mustard.
Okay. Interesting. And it's just a lacto fermentation, regular lacto
Yeah.
fermentation.
Yeah. With
Very cool.
a bit of carrot, ginger, garlic, etc. in it.
Cool. And you keep it all separate, and what do you eat it with? Do you don't also put that on sourdough, like your peanut butter and sauerkraut?
Well, I mean, put everything on sourdough with peanut butter because
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes. So, okay, next question. Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Salty. Okay. What's your COVID-19 comfort food?
Oh, that one's hard. Um, oh, I bought some instant ramen for myself to eat for lunch at the restaurant.
Nice.
That's probably it.
Rather than your homemade chicken noodle soup? Not that I'm judging.
Well, yeah, no, that's for customers and the staff. I'm the pauper right now. I get to eat poor.
Okay, no highbrow for you. Could you live on your sauerkraut peanut butter sandwiches alone? or would you go crazy in isolation?
Oh, probably go crazy, but it depends. If I had different kinds of, if I had a wide range of ferments, let's say they're all made by me, if that's the only stipulation, then,
Uh-huh.
and maybe a few other nut butters, then I'd be fine. I
Okay.
could go quite a while.
Logan Petit Lot. Do you know this local company? I don't know if that's how
No.
you pronounce it, but Petit Lot anyway, but in French. They make artisanal nut butters that they keep a little bit crunchy, and they have one with crystallized ginger. That is pretty amazing. Support local companies. You can get that one online. They might deliver. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you can get them right now. They're in a lot of local stores.
Yeah.
Worst meal you've eaten since this all started?
Oh, that was my. I'll leave it as something that my wonderful wife cooked.
Are you
That
sure? Are you sure you want to go there right now? People will
she
listen
was
to this.
no, she was the one who texted me on the way home saying like, "This is not good."
Fair enough.
So yeah,
And what was it?
we'll leave it. No need to go into detail
Okay,
on
I
that
thought
one.
you were going to describe it. That's what I was saying. Maybe you don't want to describe it. So
No. She just
fair
she
enough.
gave me a warning before I got home.
Okay,
But
best meal you've made since this all started.
that I've made. Um, well, we'll see. I'm making dinner tonight, and it smells pretty good.
What is it?
It just braised chicken legs, and I'm gonna have a coriander and yogurt sauce that I put on it. It's braising with some coriander seeds and fennel seeds, onion, garlic, and then I'm just gonna do it with some fresh green beans and almonds, lemon, feta.
That sounds really simple. What's the braising liquid?
Um,
Wine,
just
broth?
chicken, no chicken, a bit of chicken stock, but mostly just the juices of the actual uh, chicken. It's in a slow cooker right now. Should be done in 20 minutes.
Okay, next question. Slow cooker or pressure cooker?
Depends on what you want it for.
Sage advice.
Beans, legumes, stuff like that. Pressure cooker. If I still prefer most meats in a no, depends. Depends if you want like a long braise, or I don't think they're the same, because you get more reduction off the sauce in a slow cooker than you do out of a pressure cooker. So often with a pressure cooker you have to then reduce the sauce later on. So instant pots, for example, or instant. Anyway, they try to tell you how quick it'll be, but then you spend so much time reducing the sauce afterwards.
But then wouldn't you just put in less sauce? Like risotto, you can make in a pressure cooker, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, but if you have if you have a fatty piece of meat or something that just all the juice that comes out of it in a slow cooker, that'll slowly reduce. It won't reduce as much as if you had it in a pot just going on your oven for sure, but it'll slowly reduce. Whereas a pressure cooker, all the steam, all the juice, everything just stays in. So you end up with a soup around your piece of meat, which isn't a bad thing. You just have to keep that in mind for what you're doing.
Right, got it. Or you can put in more beans to absorb that soup.
That too.
I know you love L'Express. Did you work at L'Express at any point? Or you just love? Okay, yes.
2004 and 2004 to 2006. You can actually see my dumb face on the wall where they had the photos. The 2004 one is the last photo, and you see my dumb head with a little more hair, not much more, poking over somebody else's. So that is my legacy.
Okay.
Is being on that wall.
And what was your favorite dish at L'Express? And have you ordered from them since this has happened, all this COVID?
No, I haven't. Just trying to. I haven't ordered. I haven't had the time to order food from there yet.
If you did, what would you order?
Fish soup.
Yeah.
The fish soup it was my favorite thing to make when I started there as garde-manger. And it's my favorite thing to eat every time I go, with the little cheese croutons and you dip and eat. And it's great.
What's the secret to it being so great?
Just loads of fish scraps being thrown in, and then mayonnaise and cheese, and it's all good. It's very good.
Fair enough. Okay. Have you haven't ordered from anywhere else?
Uh, I
Or
mean,
have you?
admittedly, the because we were a little uncertain as to how the restaurant would go, the wife and I have and the house have been very um, trying to tighten our belts. We eat out a lot in normal times and order in a lot, and we've kind of just taken an approach of we can eat whatever we want, but we have to make it during this period. So,
Okay.
it's cut out what used to be a weekly pizza run. Has we just don't do that right now, and
Yeah. I think that's true for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people want to cook at home, and I think that's maybe interesting for you. Do you have some advice for people trying to cook at home? If you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, what do you
um,
suggest? And for saving money
this
while doing so.
it's I would say don't um, for years and years, you have cooking channels and shows and books and whatnot make cooking
Ah,
seem like this mystic art, and it's not. It's pretty straightforward as long as you don't overthink it and don't lose your confidence about it. You can kind of pull off whatever you want. It's what we do isn't that difficult.
oh, I don't know. I don't know if we can really say that. If you were going to order takeout from somewhere, where would you order it from right now?
Apart from Diplomat,
Yeah.
um, no, I mean L'Express is a very good option.
Okay.
I would.
Because they do such beautiful bistro cuisine. When you're talking about stuff you can do at home, it's not that hard. Sure, you could do it at home, but are you going to have all those fish scraps? Are you going to have
Yeah,
those wonderful pickles?
yeah. I mean, like even I think about the steak frit there. Sure, I can do the steak part, but I'm not gonna blanch potatoes and then waste all the oil to make fries at the house. So a steak frit that does sound pretty good with the little beurre composé on it. Um,
That would be a good
yeah, I don't know. There's
one.
there's
Yeah.
where else would I want to get
So
takeout from right now?
when we were going to do this podcast at my place, initially the podcast was going to be you come over for dinner,
Yeah,
and
we were gonna be close to each other and
I know that was
ew, gross.
2 meters, 2 meters. But I asked you what you would want me to make for you, and the first thing that came to your mind was sushi. So have you
Right.
even thought about sushi when all of this happened, or would you order
Yeah,
in sushi,
yeah.
and from where?
Um, I mean, I don't know. Is Junie doing takeout right now?
They're doing takeout. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll pick something up from Junie then.
They're also
But
selling sake at a discount, FYI.
oh, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
One of the only
I
places you
mean,
can get, in fact. Although
really?
you could also contact, well, just because SRQ has such a small selection and private importers do so much more, you can also get really good deals when we're talking about private import wines. You can get private import sakes from Metropolitan Premium Wines and Sakes. The contact here in Montreal is Jenna. The
Yeah,
sake is
Bacchus.
76. Yeah, I know you have the Mute Muka at your place, which is gorgeous at a 2
Yeah,
times markup. That was when I noticed that's a really good deal on
is it?
an organic rice and a really nice unfiltered unpasteurized sake. There's also Alexis
Ward
from L'Eau
sometimes
et
has
le
some.
Riz, and Ward also has
Yeah.
stuff. So I would contact any of those agencies if you're craving good sake to go with your
Mm.
ordered in sushi from Junie or elsewhere. Is
Forgetting
that
with the
still?
podcast that I keep forgetting with the podcast that you're trying to inform all the people
Yeah.
around who might be listening.
No, we're just having a conversation. Forget about my branding.
No,
Don't think about who I'm
you're
plugging.
better at this than I am. Surely that's all.
So would you order in sushi? Or would you make your own?
Order in.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially with kids running around. I can slice some raw fish, but
I believe you.
there's something about doing everything correctly that that's why I'd like to get stuff from Junie or some friends of mine like Otto if they were doing takeout. Are they doing takeout?
I'm
I don't
not
think they are.
100% sure. I checked a couple. I think they're close, but I would have to double check. I'm not sure. If they
or
are, that'd be great.
or Maro-san, who I really like.
Yeah.
What Hide and his
Hiroyuki.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so sad
So
that just to think about the sake and vinyl nights that they used to have
yeah.
there. That's such a weird thing for me to think of, a place to go with a lot of people to drink sake. Just the idea of being in a restaurant, it kind of freaks a lot of people out right now. How does that feel to you as a restaurant owner?
What, having people together?
Well, having people together, but the idea of people having anxiety about potentially coming back to your restaurant when this is open again.
Uh, we'll see. I there are going to be, you might have the population split a little bit between people who are a little anxious about being surrounded by others, which will benefit us because we're a small restaurant that has a lot of space for the amount of seats that we have, and there's also going to be a good portion of the population who are going to go out and party like we just won a war, or
Yeah.
a world war just ended, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which is probably the worst idea, especially when there are potentially recurring waves of this, but
yeah,
inevitably.
yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not um, in any way a scientist, so it's
Neither.
I just kind of I'm waiting until people tell me that it's safe to go out, and then I'll choose to believe them, and then
Yeah.
if a second wave happens, then I'll shake my fist in the air and be disappointed.
Well, it is your livelihood. It is your business too. So you have every reason to hope that people come out and enjoy what you can offer.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I know that you train, and so you're home now. But I know that you train regularly, and as a chef, it's really important to be active and be physically fit. So what are you doing at home right now, or are you working out at all?
Well, Guillaume, our trainer.
Yeah, we should say that. I think we're allowed to say that. He's okay with us saying that. Oh, you kind of froze
Sent
there.
me,
Okay.
which is nice of him.
Sorry?
So did you. Guillaume sent me
Me
a
too.
list
A
of things
program?
to do.
What did he
Yeah.
give you, by the way?
Oh, I could share it with you. I'd have to look. It's similar to a lot of the activities that we would
Okay.
do
Mine is just a
there.
long core workout that's brutal. I did it the other day over Hangouts with a friend, actually. And,
Oh, cool.
and we cried together, but yeah. My body thanks me, I think.
I've been pairing what he sent me with I'm using up all the free trials that I can on all of the apps possible.
Uh-huh.
And
what are your apps?
my wife right now I'm doing Center, the Chris Hemsworth app. We don't have to plug him and give him too much money. He's fine.
Okay.
But his app has a 6-week free trial right now,
Okay.
which is pretty long, and I'll take it.
Yeah. So you said your wife.
Her and I were just doing the exercises together, and
Oh, nice.
they can be pretty intense.
It can be. It's true. Does she like Guillaume? Is she a big Guillaume fan?
She hasn't tried any of the Guillaume ones with me yet.
Okay.
She likes the screen with the dancing people in front.
So one question that podcasters always seem to ask is, what's your desert island meal, or what's your last meal? But I feel like in COVID-19, I shouldn't have just touched my face. That was horrible. But in COVID-19, the optimistic spin, I'm also in my own home by myself and washing my hands regularly.
Unless you touch the right part of the table that had COVID on it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Could happen.
It could happen. It's true. Hopefully I'll never find out. But okay, in light of COVID-19, and while trying to be optimistic, to put an optimistic spin on that desert island meal question, what's the first meal you want when this is over?
Honestly, my wife and I have talked about going to L'Express.
Yeah.
Already. We keep plugging L'Express.
Yeah, we should stop plugging L'Express. Pick another place. Lie, Aaron. Lie. Don't
but
lie.
Also, I'd love to go to a friend's place. So maybe, I don't know if it would be a case of restaurant hopping between a bunch of places. But
that's a great idea.
I know I would want to go to Maro-san, which we also have plugged before. We seem to have a very small circle, and we don't get.
We love Hideyuki. It's true. Name somewhere else. Let's find another restaurant group.
another place. Well, so lunch by getting sandwiches from Philippe Vien at
Oh yeah.
Aliment Vien.
Ah, your best friend. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well,
You guys go way back.
true.
Charcuterie
That's
Vienne,
good.
Viens, if anybody's
Yes.
curious. Sorry. And that
Uh,
was lunch. Got it. Moving on. After lunch.
and dinner, I mean,
No
going
snack, no
to,
happy hour.
well, I mean, you go drinking at different places for sure. I'd love to go to like Bishop and Bag for cocktails or Wolf and Workman for cocktails, though that's the same
Owners.
group.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to see Steve or Sean Michael, the man so nice they named him twice. And it would, yeah, just see old friends. I think that's what it would be. It was going,
Yeah. It's more
you'd
about
have
seeing
to
your
hit
friends.
Lawrence or Larry's. You'd have
Of
to
course.
go to, shit, I have too many friends. Helicopter, though that's out of the way now. If I'm in the plateau, Myland area, uh, I'm trying to think of this in a linear fashion,
Right.
but
Well, I mean, by then we'll be less freaked out to take public transit, or maybe you have your bike or whatever, so you can get around. In your
yeah.
This is your dream day, so you can really don't think about the practicalities of the location. Just think about where you want to go and who you want to support and what you want to eat there. You're being very unspecific with what you're eating at some of these places.
Oh, but at most places I kind of just sit down and say, feed me
Right.
and
Okay.
let them send stuff. I'm at L'Express. L'Express is the only place that I have a set. I go in, I get the fish soup, the mousse de foie de volaille, the uh, steak frit, even though there's plenty of other good options. I always just fall onto steak frit.
It's L'Express.
Um,
What are you gonna do?
yeah, yeah, it's you walk in and you're like, oh, specials, those sound nice.
And
I'll
then
get the same thing that I always get, please.
I really do like what was it that I had? Is it the octopus or is it
Yeah,
the octopus?
no, the pieuvre
The pure,
little,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
So good. Like
that's
in
good
like the tambal shape and everything. So pretty.
with the lentils and
With the
everything.
lentils. The lentils are killer. Really
Yeah,
like lentils.
that's one of the first things I ever made there.
Really? Huh. Any hints for making it at home? What should I know?
Um, just patience in letting it set properly. Because if you build everything when it's slightly warm or even, yeah, when it's warm and then you turn it over and let it set. And
Mm.
if you don't have the patience to let it set, then it just collapses on you.
So you have to let it kind of gelatinize
Yeah.
a little bit. Okay. In a good way. I mean that in a good way. Okay, so you're at Larry's and Lawrence for dinner or at L'Express, and then what? What's next?
Maybe hit Altos for late night heavy food.
On Park? The one on Park
Yeah,
there? Yeah, that's an
that's
old
my
school
jam,
place.
that place.
Yeah,
I
for
love that
sure.
joint.
Go
They have
ahead.
a pizza on the menu called Le Diplomate.
Oh, named after you?
Oh yeah,
What is
because
it?
of because it's a bacon and artichoke.
And that's your jam?
That's my
Bacon and
jam.
artichoke. Okay. You were like, you really need to make a bacon and artichoke pizza, and they were like, we will do that for you, Aaron.
I used to order that with the staff at Sardine, so 2012,
Okay.
and that I've ordered that pizza from them since 2012.
Wow. Okay.
And when they reopened, I suggested that they put it on their menu and call it the Diplomat, and they actually did it. Oh, God bless them.
Wow. That's amazing. That's really, really cool. I'm a little bit jealous of you having that. Do you have any other restaurants where you have dishes named after you, or that
No,
you've
I
left?
wish.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish, but I've got when we're talking about legacy, photo on the wall at L'Express, pizza on the menu at Altos. So maybe it's an incremental process, and just over time I will have my name and or face and or ideas
In all of these
everywhere.
places.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty terrible legacy, but
Well, speaking of ideas, are you working on anything new right now while you have time off? Are you working on new dishes? Like what are you thinking about?
right now a lot of the discussion at the restaurant is what we're going to do at relaunch. Once this
Yeah.
kind of settles down a little and we can open up in a more than kneecapped
Yeah. So what are you thinking?
capacity. Well, we have an opportunity to kind of rehaul the menu to have all brand new stuff. Maybe keep the oysters and some of the we yeah. So it's an opportunity for change, and opportunities for change are always fun, right?
Yeah.
You can choose to make them daunting, or you can choose to make them fun.
But are
So
you going to get rid of certain much loved dishes like the green curry, peanuts, and celery root, for example? Because that's one of my favorites. Are you going to stop
well,
doing fermented peach with scallops? Are you going to break my heart, Aaron?
no. I mean, what's nice about the fermentation is you kind of just keep a cycle of fermentation going where it lets you have a pantry of fermented stuff. So then when you're coming up with new dishes, you can kind of just say, that.
Yeah.
And it really takes a lot of the heavy lifting out of coming up with new dishes, because you can more or less come up with a protein or a vegetable, let's say, front runner in a dish, and then say what would go well with that broccoli, and then look at your pantry, and that's a dish is done.
Yeah. So basically your ferments become your pantry, and that's what you're pulling from.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think what would be smart for us to continue doing right now is just start slowly building up a fermented pantry. So then when we relaunch, we can kind of just hit pretty hard with that stuff.
Yeah. What's going to be in your fermented pantry?
Oh, well, we're starting with the gai choy. There's, oof. I mean, we're approaching the season where you start getting a lot of local stuff coming up. So I might not be able to ferment ice plant, but I wonder if I can get ice plant going again in some capacity on the takeout menu. Dandelion, if lacto fermented dandelion would be great.
Yeah. With what? What would you put with that?
I don't know yet. For some reason, I feel like dandelion, and if you were able to get some ginger, but sometimes ginger can inhibit the fermentation, so have to get a workaround on that.
Well, you could add the ginger afterwards to the dish rather than the fermentation too.
Good. Yeah, no, we'll see what Francis or the Chateaubriand people come up with, and
right. Yeah. So let's talk about producers then, because they're hard hit by this as well. I mean, the silver lining is that this didn't happen in summer when farmers have a ton of produce that's meant for restaurants that won't last long and then it goes to waste. But I know a lot of suppliers, from cheesemakers to oyster importers to mushroom growers, are all kind of hurting right now. And what about meat farmers? Like, what are small and medium-sized farmers doing with all the lamb and chicken and ducks that they have that would normally go to restaurants? Are they finding ways to get them into grocery stores? Like, what are they doing? What are you hearing from producers?
Well, Facebook would suggest that a lot of people are going direct to consumer, mixed boxes, or just even duck producers, for example, I think are doing whole ducks and ready to cook out to customers directly like that. They're like also doing mixed.
They're doing mixed.
I don't know if Brom's doing it, but Canard de Village, for $100, they have a boîte de canard, which is one pack of effiloché confit, one poitrine, one rillette, deux saucisses, ail et ciboulette, deux cuisses confites, une pâté de canard, deux burgers, ail et ciboulette, and one cassoulet.
Oh gosh, wow. And I have the wine for you for that. There's a rosé from Ottomani. That's a Tuscan wine producer. Have you had that rosé? Because with duck, it's just like raspberries in your mouth. It's incredible. I just did a recipe on my blog on Multiculturosity about this duck pairing and rosé, and how it was a memory from Hopkins restaurant in NDG, which is now closed. But that pairing was just insane, because they had a duck platter for two, which is basically everything you just said, and this rosé that just blew my mind. So Ottomani, it's imported by Le Vin dans les Voiles, the private import company. So you can order a case from them, I believe. And that is killer wine.
We have their white available at the restaurant.
Oh, so you could get that for takeout.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I don't know how it pairs with duck, but I'm sure it's wonderful. Okay, so that's the duck. What other boxes? What other producers?
Les
Uh,
400 pieds de champignons, local mushroom producers out of Verdun, I
yeah.
believe.
And it's not just oyster
They,
mushrooms. They have a lot of funky stuff.
oh yeah, they have the lion's mane mushrooms. They have chestnut mushrooms. They've just started with whole other varieties, like a whole selection of other varieties that they didn't have
Yeah.
before. Right before this started, they were starting to release
Yeah.
them. So it's a shame that we're missing them at the restaurant. But I know that they've been selling their products at Chez Victoire, I believe.
Okay. Who's also doing
Aliment
takeout.
Vien,
Yeah.
yeah, Aliment Vien. They're selling through Lufa Farms.
Right. Good for them that they got in there. I feel like Lufa is more versatile and they can add products maybe more easily. And they're just
Yeah,
exploding right now because you can get all local produce delivered to your
yeah,
place.
they're currently hiring if people need a job.
Yeah. Same with HelloFresh and some of the, or Good Food, maybe some of those boxes.
Yeah,
They need people to pack boxes because it's just crazy right now. Okay, so there
yeah.
are places that you can find local produce there. I know there are cheeses. I know there are restaurants doing specialty things for different weeks and always changing. What's impossible to sell right now if you're a farmer or producer?
Um, I'm sure more difficult things to prepare, like revolves might be a hard sell
Yeah, I was thinking
to
of your
some people.
capon too, like in the same sense. It's like, is that why you put capon on your menu instead of chicken? Because maybe those guys will be harder to sell. Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
no.
cool.
I mean, so far we we do very modest numbers at the restaurant, but we still sell over 10 a week. Let's say 10-ish a week,
Okay.
and that's fine for
Yeah.
us. They're definitely bigger birds. They're about 3 kilos each, and it's what I believe Triple Crown used as their chicken, just for their fried chicken, which is why it was always such large pieces.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I really like capon in terms of how much fat and moisture it
Okay.
gets. So we can poach it at our place and then heat it up for somebody later, and it won't lose. It'll still remain moist enough even after another reheating the next day for lunch sandwiches or something.
Okay. So it's not just about having like something really different on the menu. Or like supporting a different kind of producer. I feel like there's either a kid or a wife involved in your look right
There are
now.
2 kids.
Are you a big baker? Are you baking them a lot of chocolates? Are you making them a lot of desserts? Not so much.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
You're like, this is nonsense. What are they talking about, these children?
Yeah, they're just going to. Sorry, things are now going to get weird.
I feel like this is nearing the end of our interview time because you're going to get pulled away. But just quickly tell me your hours and how people can order a meal and some wine from you.
So hours are Monday to Saturday from 1 p.m. To 8 p.m. We're open, and orders can be placed by calling 514-303-9727. You can place an order there. You can place an order by direct message on Instagram or Facebook, or email, or just show up.
You'll take drop-ins and people can wait?
Yeah, we do take drop-ins. We only let only 2 people in the restaurant at once. And
thanks for talking to me, and have a great rest of COVID-19 quarantine.
You too. Good luck.
Yeah.
Bon courage.